the Super Bowl. It's the World Championship of a sport only played in America. And yesterday's game was one for the record books.
This morning, Tom Brady is running out of fingers for his rings, capturing his record 7th Super Bowl at age 43.
I think we knew this was going to happen tonight, didn't we?
The Bucs didn't just win, they trampled last year's champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, 31-9. The weekend also electrifying on stage, singing some of his biggest hits in a slickly produced halftime show. Using masked dancers to keep things COVID-friendly.
Hell yeah! What a great halftime show! And it looks like the Weeknd finally found a use for all that toilet paper he's been hoarding. And how about Tom Brady winning his 7th Super Bowl ring? At this rate, he's going to be the first player with a Super Bowl toe ring, people. I mean, at this point, Tom Brady has led the kind of life that 8-year-olds narrate to themselves in the backyard. The crowd goes wild. Tommy wins his 7th Super Bowl, and now he's rich, and he's married to a supermodel, and now he's riding a dinosaur. Rah, rah. And look, I know a lot of people don't like Tom Brady. Anyway, let's move on now from the Super Bowl to the big game in Washington. Tomorrow, the U.S. Senate will begin its annual impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump. And there's 3 possible outcomes. He could be convicted, he could be exonerated, or, the most likely one, he could commit new crimes during the trial that he'll get impeached for next year. But whatever happens to Trump, hundreds of his followers are already facing consequences for rioting at the Capitol, although at least one of them is getting a chance to cut loose before she might get locked up.
A woman accused of participating in the deadly Capitol riot will get to go on vacation later this month.
A judge in Washington, D.C. granted Jenny Cudd's request to travel to Mexico. The motion was granted and filed yesterday. Cudd's lawyers say she had a prepaid weekend retreat for herself and her employees at Becky's Flowers to go to Riviera Maya, Mexico. The retreat would reportedly serve as a work-related bonding time for employees and their spouses.
Oh yeah, Insurrectionary Club Med Cozumel! Honestly, if I were this woman's employee, I'd be a little nervous to go on a bonding retreat. I mean, these aren't the kind of people I'm putting on a blindfold and going on a trust hike with. Okay, I'm sticking my hands out, all right? Closing them like you said. Wait, hold on. What am I doing? Am I strangling Nancy Pelosi? Damn it, not cool, Jenny! What I love about this is that this woman planned the vacation before she participated in the riots. So in her head, she was going to go to Washington, overthrow the government, and then what, hit the beach for 2 weeks? I'm like, how serious of a revolution were you planning, lady? These rioters were all shouting that it's 1776 again, but none of the founding fathers were like, on July 4th, we declare our independence. Then on July 5th, we got that beach house in Cabo. Thomas, you're in? Shit's gonna be lit, bro. And look, obviously I want this woman to be held accountable for her actions, but I also kind of want to party with her in Mexico. I mean, think about it. If she and her friends can turn a boring election certification vote into this, you best believe their spring breaks are going to be wild. And look, I know a lot of people are angry about this story, but the law says that if you can post bail and you aren't a flight risk, you can go back to your life until they actually convict you of a crime. And I'll be honest, I agree with that concept. No one should sit in a jail cell because they might be a criminal. If anything, the problem I have is that people who can't afford bail have to stay in jail. I mean, what are the courts scared of? No one is easier to keep tabs on than a broke person. You know where a broke person isn't going? Mexico, or the movies, or out to dinner. You want to track a broke person? Well, they're at home. And finally, some education news. February is Black History Month, a beautiful time in America when Americans celebrate all the black people who died rather than help the black people who are still alive. But now, a debate about how to teach black history is causing a bit of a stir in one of America's least black states.
In Utah, a school reverses a decision which would have allowed parents to opt out of lessons on Black History Month. This is happening at a charter school in Ogden, Utah. Initially, the school's director said he was asked by several families to opt out, and he obliged and sent out a document asking if other parents wanted to do the same thing. But now the school is backtracking after pushback from parents and Black history supporters.
Wow. First of all, what an embarrassment for this school. If I were them, I'd try to play the whole thing off as an intentional history lesson. You see, parents, You wanted to opt out, but you're not allowed to, just like the slaves couldn't. Black history accomplished. Now, people are saying that trying to opt out of Black history is racist, but even more than that, it's stupid. Because Black history is exciting. It's got racism, war, oppression, dudes with afros and leather jackets. If you have to opt out of something, you should opt out of boring shit like trigonometry. You don't need to know that an isosceles triangle has 4 sides, trust me. Regardless though, it's a good thing the school backtracked, because this is a slippery slope. If you let kids opt out of Black history, then you'll have to let them opt out of white history. And then what, Asian history? And before you know it, kids will be showing up to school like, back off, teach, I'm just here for lunch.